Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. For the new people here, which I saw a few people in the chat and in the who signed in who are new. So my name is Nkem Ezeamama. I'm an ER physician and I'm based out of Nashville. I am the CEO and founder of Pheenyx Capital Investment. And really our goal, which is our main goal, is to help professionals who are in and out of the healthcare field generate passive income through investing in apartment complexes as a way to build wealth. And we focus in the Southeast as our main focus. But more importantly are these webinars. The purpose of these webinars are to educate investors on different topics that are focused on entrepreneurship, focusing on investing. And in this webinar, I can already tell that there are people who are starting out year zero as an entrepreneur, as an investor. And I know that they're like 20-year pure entrepreneurs, investors, business leaders in the group. So I'm excited to just expand the entire bandwidth. But I wanted to talk to you today about the human edge, mastering soft skills for entrepreneur excellence. Real quickly, this webinar happens bi-monthly, so every other month, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. And today, this is what we'll be talking about. So I just wanted to start off today. In today's dynamic business landscape, soft skills are crucial for success. We know a lot about the technical skills like business concept, business plan, financials, all those technical aspects. And as much as they're needed for success, soft skills are just as important. And the thing is that they're not formally taught. So no one taught us in school and we never learned it. So it's, as you grow, as you get into business, then you really realize how important it is. And really, soft skills are people skills. They're how you're going to move forward and how you handle people. So the soft skills that we'll be talking about today are communication. We'll be talking about public speaking, we'll be talking about networking, and then we'll be talking about resilience. And all together, those are the core group of things that really define soft skills. Okay, so let me set the stage a little bit. I'll tell you about all these skills. We'll discuss some practical strategies and then how they can apply to your business, how they even apply to you if you're still in a W-2 as a leader, what that looks like. But I would love some participation. Share your experiences, ask questions as we go along. I'm learning, and as much as I'm teaching and I'm hoping to empower people here tonight, I'm learning just as much. So if there's things that you've experienced in your journey, I would love to learn. Like I said, let's learn together and use these skills really to achieve success, especially as we're starting out in 2024. Okay, so we'll start off with leadership. What is leadership? It really is the ability to inspire, to guide, and to direct a team towards a common goal. As a leader, your main focus is how can we grow together as a team? And it involves setting a clear vision. So when you know where you're going and others know where they're going, and others know that they're going to the same place that you're going, that really is what builds your vision. And then making strategic decisions. So the big decisions, that's where key leaders take part in. And then the smaller things they're able to delegate. But at the end of the day, it's really fostering an environment in which you can build innovation and collaboration. That is the biggest thing. So you steer the ship and you chart the course as a leader. And that's how you need to be thinking about it as you start your entrepreneurial journey, or even as you're in it. If there are ways that you can course correct, you are there to inspire, to guide, and to direct. The value of people skills. I told you that soft skills truly are people skills. And in leadership, it's really about influencing people, and that requires those skills. So you are providing motivation, and that's the first step. It's letting them know that like these obstacles, that they can surpass it, they can achieve the goals that they set. Another thing is truly resolving conflict. As a leader, you will learn through emotional intelligence what it means to really understand both parties in every situation and really learn how to resolve conflict. The biggest thing is building a team culture, a very strong team culture. So you know exactly what you stand for, and it starts with that vision. And at the end of the day, you're providing direction. So you're letting them know this is where we're going. These are the steps that we're going to take to get there. EQ is important for leaders. EQ stands for emotional intelligence. And it really is, in leadership, it really is the ability to identify, to assess, to control your own emotions, but then to understand and really empathize with and influence the emotions of others. So when you fully understand who you are as a leader, as a person, then you can really understand your team. You can understand your investors. You can understand your partners. But it starts with really understanding who you are, and then that flows out. So for leaders, it's very important to have high emotional intelligence. And when you start understanding team dynamics, you start understanding how each person plays a role in the big picture. It also helps to manage stress. But the biggest thing is that you're making very thoughtful and informed decisions because it comes from a place of understanding. So why is emotional intelligence? What is the value for leaders? It really, like I said, it helps you understand the emotion. The best way that I can think about it is the word empathy. So when you fully understand what it means to place yourself in someone else's shoes and to understand things from their perspective, that's how you grow as a leader. But it also helps. I told you one of the other soft skills that I'll talk about is communication. But high EQ also facilitates communication, empathy, conflict resolution, and team motivation. When you are seen as that leader, as someone who's emotionally intelligent, you can motivate your team. You can get them to see your vision. You can get them to take the next step. You can get them to think on their own. You can get them to be creative. And it starts with that. High leaders with high EQ, they also provide like a supportive network. So it's a place that you show up every day, you're ready to work, and you're fostering strong relationships. One of the other things is networking and relationships, and it also starts with this. We talked about this a little bit, but I just wanted to emphasize it a little bit more. But in conflict resolution, you're going to understand the perspective of all parties. So when you think about high EQ, you're thinking about influence, you're thinking about negotiation, and you step into every single situation win-win. So everyone gets their voice heard, but at the end of the day, no one feels like they truly lose. In team motivation as well, you're boosting morale, and you're taking you're taking all the little steps that you need to really increase the morale of your team. And when you understand that, the challenges are different. You start winning the small things, and then you also start winning in the really big things. But it starts with motivating your team. And then I talked about empathy before. It's really understanding where your team's coming from and providing support. And there's a lot of my team members on this call. And this is something that we work on a lot and we focus on. And it's like, how do we support each other in order to grow? How do we use the challenges that we face today in order to grow? Because the challenges only get bigger as we grow. So I wanted to share a personal experience. Some of you on this call, I've told this story before, but I attended one of my very first broker meetings. And it was in Nashville, and I got invited to meet some of the brokers in Nashville to just get Pheenyx known, put on the map. And I remember I just came from work, and I remember walking into the room, and the second I opened the door, it was a sea of men, and I was the only woman in the room. And at that second, I thought, I will tell you, the emotion that came over me was fear and doubt. I thought, can I do this? What am I doing here? Is this for me? And in a split second, I thought, should I walk out? Should I leave? If I didn't make eye contact with anyone, did anyone really see me? But I decided to squash that. I decided to stomp on that. And I thought, and that was one of the best decisions I made, because in that strength, I have been able to accomplish bigger obstacles, bigger challenges. But I remember that in that situation, I walked in there and I met some amazing people. I built solid relationships that have moved me forward a year later. And it was stepping into some of the qualities of emotional intelligence where I could still engage confidently. I could still be composed, even in a situation that I was very afraid of. And at the end of the day, what came out of it is that I was able to earn respect and really build valuable connections. We'll talk about networking and relationship and how important that is. But I just wanted to share that experience because I know that is familiar to a lot of people. The power of self-awareness, piggybacking off what I just talked about. It is so important to know how your behavior impacts the people around you. So what you do, what you say, your demeanor, And if you realize that and understand that, then you can be more effective in your interactions with partners, with your colleague, with your team, with potential business partners that you're doing big deals with. But even when you become more self-aware of who you are, you're able to communicate with more transparency, authenticity, and you'll be able to make decisions that are well balanced because you're able to, how do I say this, check yourself. And also, when you do this, it helps you manage some of your biases and your blind spots because we all have it. And so when you're more self-aware in every situation, in every meeting that you show up in, that's so helpful. But it's also helpful that when you seek input for those who are your accountability partners, your mentors, people who you are learning from, if this is an area of weakness, they can really help you so that in every situation, you can be more self-aware. Okay, so good leaders, they build strong teams. This is very important because what you don't want to do as a leader is build a team of people that look like you, that think like you, because at the end of the day, you won't move forward, you won't grow, you won't succeed. And so what makes a strong team? It's really diversity of thought. When you bring people in a room who think differently, who have different ideas, then you really breed creativity, and that's where you can grow. Think about broad range of skills. So you're not only picking one person who's good at one thing, but you're bringing a team of people who are strong in different facets, and that really builds morale and that boosts the team. But more importantly, when you build a team, a strong team has mutual respect. So as a leader, as the CEO and the founder, I have respect for every single member of my team, and that is given back to me. And when that is there, there's a level of openness and there's a level of collaboration that comes out of that. And then with that, you have that shared vision. So when there's mutual respect, everyone is working together for a common aim, a common purpose, a common goal, which is part of your vision. So that is the biggest thing. And when you're thinking about creating a strong team, it's really cultivating all these qualities. And when you do that, like I said, it breeds for like open communication, collaboration, and everyone is able to contribute freely. And from that, great ideas come. So how do we enhance team dynamics as we're building a solid team? Listen actively is very important. And I'll talk a little bit more about this when I talk about communication, which is coming up in a second. But provide clear and consistent communication again. So active listening, communication. When you set clear goals, it's very important that everyone knows where we're going to as a team, where we're going to as a company, where we're going to as however we come together as. When you have clear goals and everyone knows what they need to meet in order to achieve those goals. And so for our team, we set quarterly goals, and then we set quarterly goals every quarter, and then we set yearly goals. And that just helps so that everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing in order to achieve our big goal. But the most important thing is really when you're trying to enhance team dynamics is that feedback is very valued. And it's private feedback that you're giving so that everyone can grow. But more important than that is that the fact that like mistakes they're okay. In order to be successful, you are going to make thousands of mistakes. But when you see them as learning opportunities, then everyone grows from it. So when you foster a team where you think where they realize that mistakes are okay, they're really the building blocks for success, then it's allowed because out of those mistakes will come creativity, out of those mistakes will come ingenuity and new ideas, but you have to be in a team that allows that. Leaders are decisive. They see the forest from the trees. So you are seeing big picture. You're not involved in the minutia of what's going on, but you see the big picture. You see the big goal. You see the big idea. And that's how you can maintain focus when you're thinking about the big strategic objectives that you're trying to achieve. But then you delegate the task. And when you delegate you delegate the task, and you're not delegating them just to delegate, but you're building trust in your team while you look at the big picture. That is important in how to make decisions really as a team, as a leader. Talking a little bit more about delegation. Like I said, it's not just to distribute tasks to everyone. It's really about empowering the team members. There's a book that I read called Who Not How, and it's really understanding the who's in your business, the who's in your life who are able to help you achieve your big goals. So I think about it, if a team member of mine can do a task 80% as well as I can, then that is something that I need to delegate to them and then help and empower them to get to the rest of the 20%. So that's important because, like I said, it builds trust in their abilities and their skill, and then they have room to grow. So that's when you think about it like that, then it's easier to delegate, knowing that I'm building trust in them, I'm refining their skills so that we can grow and we can attack bigger challenges. So let us move on to communication. Communication is our second soft skill, and it is very important. Effective, clear communication will help your team grow, will help your business. And even starting out, you might think that, oh, I'm small, it's not as important, but it's very important, because in communication, you have clear expression of your ideas. So your team knows exactly what the plan is, what the goals are. There's never any question. And in that, I talked about a little bit, is active listening. So it's part of communication is active listening. So you're asking questions, you're doing readbacks, you're doing talkbacks, and you're really understanding what the person is saying, making them feel like they're a valuable part of the team. With communication comes empathy. When you come from a place of understanding in any situation, you will win every time. When you try to understand where the person is coming from, even in your communication, I think that's a big win. And then the last thing is just flexibility, which is like you are able to convey information like to different audiences, to different people, because you're able to be flexible and you can adapt. And that also shows signs of respect. So a little bit more about communication. These are like, we as leaders, and I think everyone in this call is a leader, it requires very strong communication skills, because once again, you need to be able to convey your vision. You need to be able to convey the mission, the goals, the plans, where you're heading to very clearly, so that everyone is on the same team. You are able to align the team in your clear communication. You're able to influence stakeholders, your investors, your partners, anyone else who's part of the team. With clear communication, you can drive and direct people to where they're going. It also builds strong relationship, because people who communicate effectively, they're surrounded by strong leaders, and that's how you start building relationships. And it's also, you're really able to resolve conflict when you are clear, precise, direct, and there's no second guessing. All of this is really, when this comes together beautifully, like you are building a very strong collaborative team. I talked a little bit about active listening. Really, what does that mean? It is like, I'm truly focused on what you're saying. I understand your message. I respond thoughtfully, and then I remember the conversation. So for me, sometimes active listening for me is writing on my Remarkable. It's somewhere around here. But as I'm talking, I'm writing down so that I can remember the conversation, so that I can respond thoughtfully, and so that they feel heard. The biggest thing that you can do for a team member, for a partner, as you're growing, is that they feel heard, so that they can come to you again and again. Of course, once again, that shows respect when everyone is clearly understood, and it builds trust. So you can see how all of these soft skills build on themselves. And I really think, yes, we know the technical skills, and they're the things that will help you succeed. But imagine adding this to it. Imagine adding this to it. It's almost like the icing on the cake, and it's very important. At least I think so. The art of active listening, avoiding distraction, maintaining eye contact. Your body language is very important. Your demeanor, how you show up to the conversation is very important. Using affirmations like, yes, I understand, keep going. This aligns with what we're talking about. When you ask clarifying questions, did you say this? Is this what you meant? Can you clarify that? That makes them know that I'm listening, I'm engaged, and I want to see this through. And then, like I said, you're paraphrasing, it's almost a teach back in the hospital. So you tell me something, I teach it back to you, so that we all understand what we're doing. And we all confirm understanding that we're on the same page. How do you demonstrate interest and engagement? You do it by, like I said, I alluded to this in the last slide, by inviting statements like, tell me more about this. What do you think? Is this what you mean? This is what I understand. I just want to make sure that's correct. Open dialogue, so that everyone's opinion is heard. And then when you show interest, it's meaningful. It builds rapport, it gains trust. The best thing you want is that any team member, from the bottom, the middle, the top, can come up to you and say, this is what I'm thinking. I would like to pitch this, or this is how I understand this. help me get this, help me clarify this. So when you do that, it just really builds like open communication, honesty, and trust. Clarity and communication, we touched on this a little bit, but you just want to be clear expression of ideas, clear thought, in order to avoid any misunderstanding at all. And when you do that, people understand you better, and that way everyone is on the same page. Decision making is easier because everyone knows this is what we said we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. There's no questions asked. And when you start getting clarity in even communication, you get clarity in who you are, in your business, in the plans, and where you're going, and even personally as well. But you are, as a leader, you are clear, you are concise, simple language, not verbose, not jargon, and then you provide specific examples on how exactly this needs to be initiated, examples of what it's looked like in the past and how we can implement in the future. The clearer you are, the easier it is for everyone to understand, everyone to be on the same page, and there are no questions. And in clear communication, you can create operating procedures. And this, as you grow, as your business grows, as your entrepreneurial journey grows, you can start creating these operating procedures so that everyone is on the same page. So we don't need to ask, we don't need to, it's all there for us. And it starts with communication and then goes back into written. Respect and communication. It's important. You respect people's time, you value you value what they say, you acknowledge their efforts. Everyone wants to feel heard, everyone wants to feel valued, no matter where they are in the ladder of success. When you think about that, when you realize that, you will come into every conversation differently. You'll come into every conversation knowing that in order for us to win together, we have to be on the same page, we have to be on the same team, you have to feel valued, and that way we can all grow. Because at the end of the day, if you have a teammate who feels disrespected, undervalued, there's no way that teammate or that member of the team is going to contribute towards success. So when you communicate respectfully, you're punctual, you are always prepared. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but you are offering private constructive feedback. How are we growing? What went wrong? That's very important. And then your tone is very important. So sometimes I can get a little excited, I can get a little loud, but to just understand that you have to meet everyone exactly where they are. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about public speaking. And this is very important because as a leader, when you can effectively communicate your vision, when you can inspire others, you can influence decision. And that is one of the biggest things that you have to think about. And public speaking is that tool. So if you ask 1,000 people, this is probably one of the most scariest things that you can do, is to stand on stage, or talk virtually. But it is such an amazing way to really influence change that it's something that as a leader, you have to learn how to do. It goes back to conveying your ideas very clearly. You can use standing on stage, whatever stage it is, you're able to motivate your team, you're able to motivate the audience, and then you just establish a strong presence in your business, in your personal brand, in your growth journey. So if anyone is thinking about, this is something that I'm actively working on, and we can do it together. But in public speaking, you have to show up. So how you present yourself, it determines how the audience will perceive you. Your professional presentation, your attire, your demeanor, all sets the first impression. Like, the first impression is so important. Try not to mess it up. And when you show up as your best self, it builds credibility and it builds trust. So when you show up, the audience, whoever it is that you're talking to, there's a sigh of relief because they can trust you. And in showing up and presenting yourself, then you communicate that you respect the people that you're talking to. And you also let them understand how serious your message is. So polished and professional appearance, it will make all the difference. They will perceive you as more authoritative and trustworthy. And that's what you want. So imagine you're building your business, you're starting your entrepreneurial journey. Imagine if you stood on stage and you were able to convey your thoughts clearly, you're able to communicate very effectively, and that you can even implement emotional intelligence into this. So now you can see how all these skills are building on each other and just how important they are. Preparation is very important. It's very important to show up looking great, show up prepared, but you also have to be able to organize your thoughts, refine your message, build confidence. This is not, you're not standing on stage and talking to an audience for the first time. You have to practice. There's a mirror right there. I talk to that mirror quite often, but the more you practice your speech, you can ensure that it's delivered effectively. And when you listen to speeches that are flawless, it's because they have put in so much effort to practice, learn it multiple times, and that's conveyed. And that's why the message hits home even harder, because they took the time. That's why preparation is important. Know your audience. Who are you speaking to? You can tailor your message to exactly who you're speaking to, their level of understanding and what they expect from you. It's very important. There are organizations that, like Toastmasters, that can help you public speaking. It's virtual, it's in person. You can figure out what works for you. A book that I recommend that I've read that I really like is Talk Like TED. And it's a book to just help you speak better, to understand what it means to get on stage and to channel that inner oomph when you get on stage. All of these things are just ways to enhance your skills. Next one we'll talk about is networking. This is very important. You hear the famous saying that it's not about who you know, it's not about what you know, it's also about who you know. And this is true on so many levels. And networking isn't just walking, shaking hands and meeting 10,000 people. It's really like nurturing deep relationship, but this can take you to the next level in your business. It provides access to valuable information. It facilitates mentorship. As you start as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it's very important to start building your network. The people that you have in it, they will significantly elevate you. One of my mentors told me that it's time and people that will get you to where you are. It's when you think about a long-term perspective and you link arms and you network with the right people, 100% of your goals will be achieved. So that's something just important. It's not something I wanted to harp on this a little bit because it's very important and there are different ways to do it. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But like I said, a strong network, you win business contracts, you meet people, you get access to resources that are limited to others as you start building your network. This comes with time, this comes with energy. So this is not something that is done day one, but you start building it. And from there, like it provides knowledge because you're learning from people who are 5 steps ahead of you, 10 steps ahead of you, and even people who are right exactly where you are in your journey. How do you build your network? Attend business conferences, participate in training activities, get involved in industry events, attend business social events, happy hour. And now you can also network online, and social media has become a great way to network. And I will talk a little bit about that because I think that's something that has really propelled me forward. And I wanted to just share some tips with you. But there are so many other ways that you can build your network, but it starts with showing up. It starts with knowing who you are, what your goals are, what your plans are. And from that, you can start meeting people, you can start growing, you can start figuring out how you can give value while you receive value. So what I talked about, cultivating your relationship. So it's just working to build trust, build familiarity. This is not going to come day one, but you're going to nurture these relationships over time. And it is truly an invaluable investment. Who you link arms with today can make a big difference in the future. And I learned this a little late. And so not that I'm playing catch up, but it's just, I've realized the importance of it. And so I have started to spend time in really getting to know people and really learning to build relationships, because you will go farther together than you will ever even think about going alone. It will lead to very meaningful, supportive relationships, and it will also help in fostering collaboration and assistance with each other. Okay, I talked to you a little bit about networking in the digital age. Social media has changed everything. It allows you to reach many people. So it's one to many now. And so I think about a virtual cup of coffee, a virtual lunch. You don't have to meet someone at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or Panera for coffee anymore. It can happen online, it can happen on Zoom, and you can meet people across the country. And in these webinars that I've done, there've been people who have signed in from Nigeria, there are people who have signed in from South America. And it's just really cool to know that we can link arms on a larger scale. you can maintain these relationships, and it's like without the constraints of geography, time. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You can just meet in front of your computer, you can share stuff, and you can grow. So what are some practical tips? I have in the last year, and I'll show in the next slide, we'll explain a little bit, but in the last year, I have invested in building my social media presence. And for anyone who's thinking, who is here and thinking this is very daunting, know that a year ago or a year and a month ago, I had no social media. And I realized the importance of it in growing and in linking arms. And so I put in effort into it, and it has paid out. So I want to challenge them. So I have some like tips, and I'll share with you at the end, but start by creating a professional profile on platforms like LinkedIn. It's a more professional site. So you can go there, you can share, you can engage. But if you don't have one, just create one. And then engage with others, share relevant content that's industry specific, comment on posts, join industry groups. And just the biggest thing is that when you can share ideas, it opens doors to different, it opens different paths for you, but you're giving. And another thing I just want to say is like create informative content that is geared towards whatever industry you're in, but do it regularly. If you're going to, decide to use social media and build it as using it as a soft skill, then it's not something that you're going to do one and done. Commit to it, commit to showing up consistently, daily, engaging, and I think you'll see that it'll pay off significantly. Be authentic. Consistency, be very authentic and be consistent. Like I said, don't do it once and then run away and come back 2 months later and expect magic. Take the time to nurture it, nurture the relationships, nurture what you're building online as another way to build your personal brand, which I think is just as important, because how you show up for yourself is how you show up in your business as well. So I told you guys that. So I started my LinkedIn journey a year ago. So January 1st last year, I said I would commit to posting every day. I started off with just giving value. I talked about quotes that I loved. And then the more I built Pheenyx, the more I started my entrepreneurial journey. I started sharing tips on what I've done, the successes, some of the failures that I've had. And so I remember my first post, I think I called my sister and I was like, go like my post. I was like, I wrote something good, but no one is seeing it. It didn't matter because it's bigger than engagement. It's bigger than impressions, but I just wanted you guys to see what this could look like. And it just started with showing up every day. I started meeting people. I started just sending DMs and saying, hey, I like the comment that you made today. That was really empowering. I have learned so much through LinkedIn. So I wanted to share this with you that in a year, I think I've engaged with 26,000 people. My posts have reached 753,000, and I went from 0 to 4,000. And to me, that's a win, because I've met amazing people that I know that have in the last year that have helped me grow significantly and that have propelled me forward more than I would have ever done alone. So if someone is thinking about it, reach out to me. I have come to love this, and I have learned how it works. And so I would love to give value and to help someone else. This is the final point, which is that entrepreneurship is challenging. Success is not guaranteed. You can do everything right. You can be a fantastic leader. You can have a solid business plan. You can have financial backing and support. You can have partners who are willing to put in the time, put in the effort. And sometimes you don't succeed. There's risk and there's uncertainty. Like in the times we are right now, with the unpredictability of the market, consumer behavior is changing on a daily basis. There's external factors like economic shift. There's so many things that can influence your success. But resilient entrepreneurs, it's by any means necessary. That's a quote that I have on my wall. And it's that no matter what, you still push through. No matter what the setbacks, they're just setbacks. They're really little potholes, and they're not really stumbling blocks. You can get around them. You learn from failures. I told you before that failures are the building blocks for success, because you won't get to where you're going if you don't trip and fall a few times. And you can stop there, or you can learn from it and you can move forward. So to me, it's to continue to strive, it's to continue to work hard, and it's to continue to reach your goals, despite any challenges, which I think is the most important. So resilience. It's really staying in the game. It's building like strong mental fortitude. So regardless of the setbacks, you know your goal, you know where you're going, and you're going to achieve it no matter what. How do you really how do you become resilient? You do it by creating and cultivating a positive mindset. So you know where you're going, you have your goals laid out, you're thinking that instead of fear, it's I can do it. Instead of what if, it's like, what if it doesn't? Why don't I try? So you change your mindset, you change your words, you bounce back from failures, you learn from the mistakes. Every mistake, you want to have something that you learn from it so that it's not a waste and so that you can move forward. And then you view challenges as as opportunities to grow. Every challenge that comes your way, you say, how can I figure it out? How can I solve it? What does that look like? How do you develop resilience? I thought I just summed it all up here. So you start with doing your homework. And that's the beginning. That's when you're doing foundational research in if I'm going to go into this business venture, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to pivot. And when you do your homework, you start establishing belief in your idea. So something that started off small, the more you research, the more you learn, and you realize, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this really well. And then you take action. And the taking action is the preparation. You start doing the work. And what that does is that it builds confidence. That idea or that concept is worth pursuing. So you start putting in the work, you start preparing, you start taking action, and then you're building resilience because you're building the tools that you need to go forward no matter what. And then you have conviction, and it's conviction in the value that it's in the value that your business will bring to other people. So in that, when you have that conviction, then you're motivated and you're going to keep going no matter what, because then you realize that this is bigger than just me. This is bigger than Pheenyx. This is impact. And then you recognize that you cannot do it alone. You recognize that you need a team, you need people, you need mentors, you need to be in, whether it's masterminds or people who are thinking along the same line, who have made some of the same mistakes that you don't want to make. And so even when you pick mentors, you pick a mentor that is a few years ahead of you, and then a few years ahead of you, and then maybe 10, 15, 20 years, someone who has learned, who has failed, who has really failed, but who has, because they have the structure, they have the building blocks, they can fail and they can still stand back up and build millions. So when you recognize that you can't do it alone, then you start surrounding yourself with the right people. So when you do your homework and you establish belief, you prepare, and that leads to confidence, and then you have the conviction that you're gonna make a difference. And then you top it all off with building a team, knowing that you can't do it alone. That is what resilience really does look like. How do you develop the mental strength? And now I said that resilience is important, but I also want you to understand that your sense of self-worth is not tied to your business achievements. Whether you fail or you succeed does not change who you are as a person, and your value is still your value. So that's something that's something that I really want to emphasize because I think it's very important. The entrepreneurial journey is hard. Every step of the way, there will be doubt, there will be questions, but it doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change what you stand for and where you're going. You might fail, you might stumble, you might fall, but you will get back up. And that's why you're building the resilience building block. Every effort, everything you're learning, every mistake, every success, every joy, every roadblock, you're really learning from it. And when you embrace these experiences as opportunities to grow, that's exactly what will happen. You will grow because who you are, who you're becoming along the process is the most important. You'll get to your end goal, or you might pivot and do something bigger, something better, but you're refining yourself, you're growing, you're learning, and you're becoming a better person for it. So as I conclude, I wanted to recap a little bit about all that we've talked about. Soft skills, like I said, they weren't taught, but these are learned skills that are very important. The technical skills are just as important, but the soft skills are what you need to move you forward. It's what you need to be an effective leader in your business. It's that art of inspiring and driving the team, driving your partners to go to the next level. It's how you communicate, it's how you show up, it's how you connect your team member, and it's how you think about the broader community. And then it's the value of resilience, how you show up no matter what. So These are the pillars we talked about. We talked about leadership. We talked about communication. We talked about public speaking. We talked about networking. We talked about resilience. And at the end of the day, this path is different for everyone. The path to success looks very different for everyone. But as long as you're on that path, you will figure out what success means. It just requires a lot of staying power, resilience, and then understanding what your value is, what your purpose is, and what your vision is. Okay, I just came up with a few things that you can walk away with, things that you can think about or things that you can do to help you refine your soft skills as you're growing as an entrepreneur. Think about, how has emotional intelligence influenced your leadership style or decision? Has it played a role? Take some time to just engage in self-reflection, seek feedback, and figure out ways to continuously learn. Think about how you communicate in challenges, in success, and think about like how you speak to your team, how you think. Are your ideas clear? Do you need to refine them? Do you need to work on clarity? Another thing for those who maybe are new here, create a social media profile, whichever one. It does not have to be LinkedIn, but anyone, just create one and start speaking about your journey. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just show up and give value and use that as a way to grow, but use that as a way to build yourself as well. And for my entrepreneurs here, attend a conference, Q2, as a way to build your network. Go meet some people, figure out whether it's one or two or three people that you would like to meet, that you'd like to grow. I want to challenge you to do that. And then in this journey, like I said, it's not easy. So find an accountability partner in this entrepreneurial journey, someone who will walk with you. So if you're falling short, someone who's there to tell you, hey, stand back up, or someone to piggyback ideas off of each other as you grow. So think about how you can really leverage your accountability partner and how you can be that accountability partner for someone else. These are just a few tips that you can take away from today that you can learn as a way to get better with your soft skills. So my final word, these skills, they're not just tools. They are really part of our entrepreneurial identity. It's who we are, like I said, and I will say it again, it's how you show up. It will shape your journey. It will really influence your success. It will massively help you grow. And really, I think it'll define your legacy. So I just wanted to say, keep nurturing those skills, stay true to your vision, and let your entrepreneurial spirit soar. I just want to say thank you for listening to me. I hope this was educational. I hope this was beneficial. I want to ask one thing. First of all, if you want to get a hold of me, there are multiple ways to find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on a lot of social media platforms. This is our email address. This is our website. And that's my cell phone number, so you can reach me there. And then if you want to join our community, you can just text wealth to that number, and one of our team members will be in touch with you. Lastly, I just want to say, if you have any ideas or any topics that you would like to hear on this bi-monthly webinar, I'm open to it. I have some ideas coming up, but if there's something that you think would be beneficial for the community, if you're new here, shout out whatever you want in the chat or in the Q&A. But if not, if you have any ideas, I would just love to hear it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for spending the evening with me. I really hope this was helpful, and I want questions. So if you have questions, toss it in the Q&A. I just want to be able to impart as much knowledge, as much value as I can as we come to an end. So I'm gonna stop screen share. Okay. James, how have you identified mentors and accountability partners? That is a fantastic question. So I saw people in my network. So I thought about where I wanted to be. I thought about the kind of leader that I wanted to be, and I thought about the kind of an entrepreneur that I wanted to be. And I sought out people who were ahead of me. For instance, there's a business leader in Nashville who I thought I could significantly learn from. And I took a step, and I reached out to him, and I said, I would love to learn from you. I see where you're going. This is in line with where I want to be. And if you have the time, I would love to learn from you. And I'm okay with paid mentors and unpaid mentors. So it just depends on what you need and where you are. But that mentorship was so valuable to me. He met with me, he was an older man. He met with me every Friday for I think for about 6 months. And for a period of time, he told me to go read Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And he said, I need you to figure out and to really understand your why, because he said, this will get hard. And if you don't understand the reason why you're doing it, it's very easy for you to think twice. It's very easy for you to stop. But if you spend time in really figuring out your why, it will help you grow. And so that was very beneficial for me. And that's how I found the mentor. And I have a few other mentors in different areas of my big goals. Accountability partners, you just have to be vulnerable and you have to put yourself out there. So if you want accountability partners, people who are on the same page as you, I have found, I talk about LinkedIn again, but I've seen some people there who I'm like, why don't we exchange ideas on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis? And you just form it, but you have to be willing to try. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. They might say no, but for me, those are the things that have worked for me. But I understand the importance of it, and I know that I won't be where I am today if I didn't do that. So James, I hope that was helpful. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay. Oh, yes. Irish Kevin says, please expand on read back. So what that means is just when you say something or when you send something, is just being able to, it's really what it is. It's just read back. So you say, this is what I heard. This is what I read. I want to make sure that we're on the same page. So it's almost teach back. In medicine, we use teach back a lot. So when I teach you something, I want you to teach it back to me so that I know that you understood it. So that's how it works with read back. I remember your first post and how much you've progressed. Thank you. Nice progress. Great presentation. Thank you. Awesome tips. You're awesome. You guys are fantastic. Does anyone have any other questions? I wanted to recommend, this is not a question, but I'll say this. I wanted to recommend a few books that have helped me in kind of learning about influence, about negotiation. And I wrote it down so that I would not forget because I was nervous I might forget it. So I talked about Talk Like TED. Because one of the things that I'm currently working on is public speaking and getting on stages, that book has been very helpful for me. Bring Yourself is a book, and I will remember her name. I'll make sure I put the books when I send out the webinar recording, but it's a book on how to negotiate. And so how to negotiate for yourself and how to negotiate for others. And I think that it's really a part of a soft skill that you need to learn. So I think that book is very important. And then I talked about Influence by Robert Cialdini. It's very important. It talks about reciprocity, talks about scarcity, and it talks about authority. So those things are very important as a leader. So I think, so those would be like 3 books that I would recommend. And I talked about who, not how, and it's how to delegate, who are the who's that are going to help you succeed. So any other questions? It's 6:55. I want to make sure that we're out of here in an hour. So if anyone has any additional questions. Oh, another great book is Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Lose, Learn by John C. Maxwell. Okay, Kevin, I haven't read that one, but I will take you up on it and I'm going to read that one. So I think I went through every chat and every comment. So it was so awesome being here. If you have, like I said, I'm easy to reach, find me. If you have any questions, if there's any way that I can help you, I would love to. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. I think it's awesome that we're building a community here, and I just want to see it continue to flourish. So I will let everyone go. I'll give you back 4 minutes of your time. Have a great evening.